Hello and welcome to Ancient Runes. I hope you all had a chance to watch the video about the history of runes. Ancient runes are a form of writing which witches and wizards used hundreds of years ago. It is also a subject taught at Hogwarts. Classwork and homework involve plenty of practice translating runes, and the OWL involves translating something written in runes into English. Hermione uses Spellman's syllabary to translate her homework. The class is taught by Professor Babylon. And while translating runes is the focus of the class, there is a second use for runes, predicting the future by answering specific questions. We are going to be creating a set of rune tiles and a pouch to keep them in. Then we will try our hand at answering our questions using our runes. Let's get started. Alright, let's go ahead and make our rune tiles. All you're going to do is take your wooden tiles and draw the runes on them. You don't need to write the word, just the symbol. So you're going to take your black marker. I'm going to do the first one here. And that's it. You're going to want to do that for all of the 24 runes that you have. This one down here, that's just an open circle, should remain blank. So you don't have to draw anything on your 25th rune. It is going to stay blank because that is an unknowable, and we will get to that when we talk about reading the runes. So go ahead and just fill in all of your wooden squares with the different runes. Alright, so I have all of my runes drawn, and we are going to need something to store those in. So we're going to set these aside, and we are going to make a bag for our runes. Alright, to make our bag, we're going to use our green felt, our string, and our needle. So we're going to have to thread our needle. To do that, I'm going to put a little piece of Scotch tape on the end of my yarn to kind of make a point. So just put that there. It's going to come off in just a second, so it doesn't have to be real tight. I'm just going to wrap it around, flatten it so that it fits through the eye of my needle. Pull that right on there and then remove that tape. Okay, the other end of our string, we need to put a knot. So it's just a small knot with a little tail. So we're going to start by folding our green felt in half so that both of the edges with the seam are at the top, and we're going to start at the end here where it's folded. We're going to put our needle in between the two pieces of felt and push through so it's about 1/4 centimeter from the edge of the fabric. Pull that the whole way through. Now, when we first start, we're going to have a lot of string here to pull through, but as we go, that will get shorter. We're going to tuck that tail inside the bag. Then we're going to put our needle in the back, and we're going to come up through the same hole, or as close as we can get to the same hole, and pull it through. This is where it gets a little tough to pull because we're in the same hole. We're going to pull it almost, so we just have a small hole here, and we're going to put our needle through there. And we have our first stitch. Okay, now for this stitch, we're always going to be poking the needle from the back to the front. And we're going to want to keep our stitches pretty evenly spaced. So I'm going to move over about 1/4 inch from the back of my fabric, poke my needle up through, and pull. Now, when I have just a little loop here, I'm going to put my needle through that loop and pull it tight. And this is what our stitching will look like. I'm going to go ahead and bring this up so that you can see it a little bit closer. Okay. Okay, so let's make one more stitch together. Again, about 1/4 of an inch over, I'm going to poke my needle up from the bottom through both layers of fabric. Sometimes it goes easy, sometimes you gotta fight it. Okay, and we're going to pull most of that string through. Once we have a small loop, I'm going to go through that and pull tight. From the back to the front. Tape stuck here. A small loop through the loop and tight. One more time. From the back to the front. Small loop, pull, tight. All right, you're gonna do this up both sides until you get to the seam here that is sewn in. All right, so now I'm ready for my final stitch. So I'm coming up from the back. Okay, I have my loop. And this time, I'm gonna go through it once and pull tight. And then I'm going to go through it again, and I create another loop, and I'm going to go through the opposite direction and pull tight to make a knot. Now I'm just going to trim this up, and I have one side of my bag complete. Go ahead and make the other side, and then I'll show you how to make the drawstring. All right, so we have both sides of our bag sewn, and we stopped right before we got to the seam, so we have two little opening flaps up here. We're going to use the rest of our yarn to make a drawstring. So we're just going to keep our yarn on the needle and slide it right through that first one. You'll be able to squish all of that fabric. Slide it along your needle. Oh, my needle's stuck on some. There we go. And once we pull it out this end, I want to make sure we don't pull too much out. And then we're just going to go back through the other side. Sliding it right along our needle until it comes out. And now we can take our needle off. We're going to line up our two ends of our string and tie a knot. And now we have a pouch that we can pull shut. But first, let's put all of our runes in there. So let's pull these back over here. Just gather them all up put them into our pouch. Now we have a nice place to store our runes. Now that we have our runes and our bag made, what do we do with them? We're going to learn how to read them and answer questions with our runes. This is a fun way to predict the future. But we all know that you can't actually predict the future, so this is just for fun. So reading runes is one of the most popular methods of divination. To get started, you have to have a question you want answered. You're going to hold your bag of runes and think very hard about your question. Say it out loud, think about it as you're holding the bag. You're going to pull 3 runes out of your bag and lay them from left to right. The far left rune is the Nord Erd. It is the past. It represents past actions and situations that relate to the question you asked. This could be how you've acted in the past, your beliefs, or things that have happened to you in the past that reflect this question. The middle rune, or the Nord Skuld, is the future. What will likely happen to answer your question? So this is the rune that's going to help us see the future. The rune on the far right, or the Norn Verdandi, is the present. What is influencing you right now? So this is what's happening in your life regarding that question and what you're thinking about right now. Then you're going to use your rune dictionary to decipher the runes to answer your question. You'll be able to use the words associated with each rune to help you decide how that is going to affect and answer your question. Alright, let's go ahead and give this a try. So as I'm holding my bag, I'm going to think of the question that I want an answer to. You can, if you're doing this for yourself, think of the question in your head, or you can say the question out loud. If you're reading for someone else, they definitely have to ask the question out loud so that you can interpret the results. So I'm holding my bag of runes and I'm thinking of my question. My question is, will I get another cat this summer? And as I'm thinking of that question, I'm going to reach into my bag and pull out 3 of my runes, and I'm going to lay them on my table from left to right. Okay, now I'm going to take my rune dictionary and try and decipher the answer to my question. So my far left, the Norn Erd, is the past actions and situations that relate to the question that I asked. So I have the friendship. So optimism, aspiration, fortunate soul. So I think that this represents the fact that I have cats and I really love my cats and I consider them my friends. My middle rune, or the Norn Skuld, is the future. What will likely happen to answer your question? And this rune is the wealth rune. So fulfillment, power, material gain, greed. I think that probably means that my answer is I will get my cat because it's going to be fulfilling my wish. My far right, the Norn Verdenti is the present. What is influencing me right now? So this one right here is the protection rune. Counsel, non-action, luck, warning. So right now, it doesn't look like I'm going to be taking any action, so maybe I won't be getting my cat right now, but I'd say in the future I'll get a new cat. Now remember, this is just for fun, and we're not going to take this too seriously, right? Alright, have fun predicting your future.
Join us next week for Quidditch practice. Have a happy and safe week.